Okay, quiz 5. Today's quiz is going to be kind of pretty easy. Just make sure you follow the steps. So we're going to start off just with the distance formula. So distance formula, and all it's going to be is d is equal to the square root of x squared minus x1 squared. X, the second x, not x squared, sorry, plus y2 minus y1 squared. All right, so don't let the formula freak you out. All they're looking for are plotted points, so x and y. So once we know the x and y's, all we do is just plug it in and then just solve for it. So it's pretty simple. So let's do an example. If I have points 2, 3, and I have points 14, 8, all right, x1, so I'm going to label them so I don't mess up, y1, x2, y2. All right, now they're labeled. Now I know where to plug them in. So all I have to do is just plug stuff in, and then I'm good to go. So let's go ahead and do it. So d is equal to square root of 14 minus 2. Sorry, 14 minus 2 squared. All right, x1, or I'm sorry, x2 was 14, and x1 was 2. That's how I got those. Plus, now I'm looking for y2. So here's my y2, that's 8, minus, and I'm looking for y1. So my y1 was 3. So I plug that in and square it. All right, now let's go ahead and just solve this stuff right here. So 14 minus 2 is 12, and it's still squared, plus 8 minus 3 is 5. That's still squared. And remember, this is still square root. All right, so what I have here is I have 144 plus 25. It's still under the square root sign. Add them together, I get 169 square root, and the square root of 169 is 13. All right, so that's all you're doing. Let's do one more. All right, make sure you label stuff and then you should be okay. All right, so let's say we got 0, 0, and we have minus 3, 4. All right, let's label them. x1, y1, x2, y2. All right, let's plug it in. D equals square root minus 3 minus 0 squared. All right, x2, x1. x2 was a minus 3, x1 was a 0. Plus, all right, and then I'm going y2 minus y1. So y2 is 4, so 4 minus y1 is 0 squared. And then once again I solve. So what I have is I have negative 3 squared plus 4 squared. So negative times a negative will give me a 9. 4 times 4 is a 16. Remember, all this is still under the square root, so don't forget all that stuff, I guess. All right, so 16 plus 9 gives me the square root of 25. 25 is going to be, the square root of 25 is just 5. So d equals 5. And that's your answer. Now if you get like a weird answer, let's say you did all this stuff right here and you ended up with like the square root of 12, all right? These other answers that we were getting were pretty easy, like 169 was 13 and 25 is 5. Those are real easy numbers, but there's not anything that something times something equals 12. So in this case, to get the answer, you can break this down a little bit. The easiest way for me to do it, I just say, okay, what is 12? What two numbers make 12? If I go 4 times 3, that equals 12. And I can break this 4 down even further. I can make that a 2 times 2. All right, so whenever you're breaking it down like this, if you get a pair, you can pull that out, and then everything else stays underneath the radical sign. So in this case, I have a pair of 2's. I have 2 of them, so I can pull that out. So I can say that's a 2. The only other number that I'm left with is this 3, right? Because I broke this one down, it doesn't count anymore. So I have this 3 left over, so I just put the square root of 3 like that. All right, so on the quiz, if you have a number that's not as easy as a 25, just break it down like this. If there's a pair, you pull it out. 3, there's no pair, that makes it 3, right? 3 times 1 is 3, but that's it. So that's not a pair, so it stays underneath. All right, and that's all you have to do. All right, so that's the distance formula. Pretty simple. Just follow those steps and you'll be all right. The next one is midpoint. Quiz 5. Midpoint. Midpoint. All right, now this one's pretty simple too. Just label your stuff and you're all right. So we got x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. And that's it. Once we know what the points are, we just plug it in, add them together, divide by 2, and those are your midpoints. All right? So once again, let's do an example. 6, 8, and 2, 4. All right, those are our 2 points. Let's label it. x1, y1, x2, y2. All right, and then now all we have to do is just plug it in. That's it. That's a 2. Sorry, I missed that one. All right, so x1 and x2. So x1 is 6, x2 is 2, so 6 plus 2 divided by 2, and the y's. y1 is 8, plus y2 is 4, divided by 2. All right, and then from here, all we do is just solve. 6 plus 2, that's 8 over 2. 8 plus 4, 12 over 2. All right, 2 goes into 8 4 times, so 4, comma, 2 goes into 12 6 times. Bam, that's your answer. So the midpoint of these points up here is 4, 6. And like I said, just label it, plug it into the equation, and then just solve for it. And then you're finished. All right. All right. Let's see. The next one we're going to do is quiz 5. Equation of a circle. Equation of a circle. Once again, not too hard. So let's use a formula. All right, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. All right, now look, the h and the k, all that is, don't let it get you all messed up. Yeah, oh, it's almost a good circle. All that is the center point of your circle. So instead of it's like a point. So instead of using xy coordinates, they're using h and k coordinates. All right. So h and k basically is your xy coordinates. All right. So h and k is the center point. R obviously is the radius. Okay. So let's try a couple problems. So if you're given the center of the circle is 3, 2, and it has a radius of 5. First, let's label everything. This is x and that's y, just to make it simple. All right, so I'm going to come up here and I'm going to plug it in. So 3 goes into my x, so I'm going to say 3 minus h squared plus my y is 2, so 2 minus k squared. My radius is 5, so equals 5 squared. All right, now in this case, since I don't really know what this h and the k is, I'm just gonna stop it right there. So really all you have to do on this part right here is this, because I don't know what these are. I can't really solve any further, so I'm just gonna leave it. The only thing I can break down a little more is this 5 squared. That I can go ahead and do. So really the answer on your quiz, the format they're looking for something like this. So it'd be 3 minus h squared plus 2 minus k squared equals 25. And that's it. All right. Let's go to our last one. This is our last thing, and it's not too bad either. All right, quiz 5. All right, so we're looking for let's say we're gonna find f of g, f plus g. F plus g, we're gonna find f minus g, and these are the functions, you know, like f of x and f g of x, all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to find f times g, and we're going to find f times g times x. These ones are going to be pretty simple. This one I'll go over in a second. So let's just figure out what these are actually worth first. So f of x, let's say that's going to equal 2x plus 3, and g of x is going to equal x minus 1. All right, so these are our formulas that we're working with. All right, so the first one, this f plus g, we're taking f, so f of x is basically just f. We're taking this plus g. G, or g of x, is really just this right here. So I'm going to go, let's go number 1. So 2x plus 3 plus x minus 1. X minus 1. All right, so all we do is just combine like terms. So x's and numbers. So 2x and x gives you a 3x. A 3 and a negative 1 gives you 2. And that's your answer. That's all you got to do. All right, let's go to number 2. Number 2 is f minus g. So f minus g. So let's write it out again. 2x plus 3 minus, and I have to put parentheses here. If you don't put the parentheses, you'll get it wrong. X minus 1. Since this is minus the whole g of x, we have to take this negative and we have to distribute it through this equation. So really what I have is 2x plus 3, negative times an x gives me negative x, and a negative times a negative gives me a positive. So that's what I really have. So let's combine like terms again. So 2x minus x, that just gives me 1x. And a 3 and a 1, they're both positive, that gives me 4. And that's my answer. Pretty simple. All right, number 3. Number 3, we're doing f times g. All right, so this is basically like FOIL. You're just doing FOIL. So I have 2x plus 3 parentheses. Parentheses again, I'm going to g, x minus 1. All right, so it's going to be 2x minus x, 2x minus 1, 3x minus x, 3x minus 1. All right, that's how I'm going to lay it out. So let's go for it. 2x times x gives me 2x squared. 2x times negative 1 gives me negative 2x. 3 times x gives me a positive 3x. And 3 times negative 1 gives me a negative 3. All right. Then from here, I just combine like terms. So I only have this as x squared, so I bring that down, 2x squared. I have a negative 2x and a positive 3x. So that just gives me a positive x. And I have just a 3 by itself, so negative 3. And that's it. Answer's done. All right, the last one. This is g times x times x. Really what this is, what they want us to do, is they want us to do this where we have f times g of x, something like that. Which basically is saying this. Instead of just multiplying it together like we did over here, wherever we have here's our f of x. Wherever we have our x here, we're going to plug in g. So I have an x here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go 2 times whatever x is, g of x, whatever g of x is. So in this case, it's going to be 2 times this plus 3. All right, so it's gonna switch your equation up a little bit. So don't get all freaked out. Just use your f. Wherever there's an x, plug in the whole entire g equation. Okay, so here we go. So I have 2, and I'm gonna put parentheses. Here's an x. I'm gonna plug in g of x. So all of this is gonna go right there. All right. So 2 times x minus 1, close parentheses, plus 3. Alright, so let's go ahead and solve this. 2 times x, 2x, 2 minus 1, negative 2, plus 3. Alright, and then I just combine like terms. So 2x, negative 2 and 3 gives me positive 1. And that's it. That should be all you're really looking for in the quiz. So follow these steps and you should be okay. I recommend that you practice doing these problems along with the video. If you do that and print out the little sheet, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't get a 100% on your quiz. All right, good luck.